human. Play, Damjat, human.
Hello again, my lovelies. Pirate Scum Gaming here. Tonight, let's talk tanks. As you guys know, you guys have probably seen me hanging out with Augie or Mad Dog Mikey on their streams, or even Grumpy. I like to tank. Tanking is my thing. I find a lot of joy in it. It's relaxing. It's also a bit of a challenge at the same time. And you always see in me flying my Terran Styx, the Terran Cockroach. As you guys know, I've already done a tanking vid on another substitute for tanking, the T6X Tiger Corps Tactical Command Battlecruiser, which also tanked like a dream. But this ship here, the Liberated Borg Juggernaut. You know, when you think Juggernaut, you really don't think tank. You think tactical, offensive, boom, 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 pew, pew, pew. Turns out this is a hell of a tank. You know, my good friend Mad Dog Mikey gifted me this ship. You know, I had it sitting in my inventory for a while. I decided to break it out, start playing with it. Looked at the bridge officer seating. Looked at the console setup, and I said to myself, I wonder if the ship can tank. So I did what I normally would do. I threw a tank build on it, put a team together, and tested out an ISE. And I'll tell you what, I was not disappointed. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this build, and then you can answer the question for yourselves, can this ship tank? I mean, this ship does have its drawbacks. Unlike most favored tanks who have the cruiser commands, this ship does not have cruiser commands. So I am severely lacking without having attract fire. Or so you would think. Really, I don't need attract fire on this ship. Yes, it's a nice thing to have for a tank, but it's not necessary, and I'm going to show you why. So let's go jump into this. Alright, as you can see here, the build has not changed a whole lot. There's a few different things. Now, for the sake of time, I am not going to go through each and everything here. If you would like a more detailed explanation of this, how this works, go take a look at my T6X Tiger Corps build. I will link that in the description below. But let's go ahead and talk about what's changed. This console right here, this is new. This is the console that comes with this ship. The Disruptive Topological Matrix. Now, it turns out this is a pretty damn good tanking console. I was not disappointed with this. It deals primarily plasma damage, which, of course, Borg plasma, you know, that is. But that's what we're not using it for that. We're using it for its active ability. Active ability gives a little bit of plasma damage, but also what it does, it inflicts viral disruption for 15 seconds. Each second, while target is below 30% health, 30% chance to disable all subsystems for 4 seconds. Now, as you know, in an ISE, 4 seconds is a long time. A lot can happen. And that TAC cube, it does like to hold on to its health sometimes. So it could sit below 30% health for quite a while. You know, at least for a minute or so. So a lot can happen then. So that's where this console kind of comes in handy. Dunk stops working there for a minute. Also new to the build, there's a couple of different Starship traits you're probably noticing. Yes, I did get the 10th anniversary bundle, so that means I now have access to Overpowered Overgunned. This is a really good console, or trait rather, sorry. On beamer cannon firing mode, 15% weapon power cost, minus 15% weapon power cost, which is very important. Also, a good amount of firing cycle haste. And for fire at will, you need a lot of firing cycle haste. Get those beams out. And it lasts for 8.8 seconds. Also new to the build, which is a gift from my good friend Augie at Augmented Dictator Games, the ruin of our enemies, or as everyone else calls it, the ruin of our wallets. Because this sucker is stupid expensive. I mean, it's well over $1 billion EC, if it's even on the exchange at all. A lot of times this ship is traded via private channels. So as you can see, it's 3% bonus all damage for 20 seconds when you defeat a foe. Effect stacks up to 100 times. That's amazing. That's huge. And then every 5th defeat, minus 15% recharge time to bridge officer abilities. And as a tank, you want your bridge officer abilities up as quickly as possible so you can use them. Alright, space reputation, that has not changed. Neither as my active space reputation abilities. These have not changed either. Skills definitely have not changed. These are the same skills I always use. Feel free to pause the video right here if you'd like to take a screenshot, take a look at it, use it. I don't mind. Specializations have also not changed. Miracle Worker Strategist. Use it, learn it, love it. Let's talk bridge officers here. Now on the Styx and the Taiga Corps, the command seat is an engineering seat. However, on this ship, they gave it to the tactical seat, which really kind of screws the pooch a little bit. Basically, I could only slot Suppression Barrage 2. Now I can't slot Overwhelm Emitters like I usually do. Because of it being a tactical seat, I need access to FAW 3. But this does not limit the build in any stretch of the imagination. I still managed to establish, keep, and maintain threat through the whole run, and I generated a lot of threat. Despite the fact I did not have access to Overwhelm Emitters, I still got the job done with just Suppression Barrage 2. All these other stations have pretty much not changed. I have emergency powered engines to help me get around the map. Distributed targeting to help get around those bowel anti-proton beams and reach out and touch someone and piss off everyone on the map. Attack pattern delta for the threat gen. Tractor beam, scramble sensors, and photonic shockwaves. This is all Yukon procs, and I'll be going over that here in a little bit. Also, Yukon procs is emit unstable warp bubble and eject warp plasma. Then we got emergency powered weapons to help proc emergency weapon cycle. Other tactical abilities, we have chemosite laced weaponry, because who doesn't like radiation explosions? Torp spread 2 to help get around that dark matter dissolution. And of course, the main event, beam fire at will 3. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at duty officers here. Okay, you'll notice here that I'm not running a third Adaku-Kan. And that's on purpose. I purposely did not put a third Adaku-Kan here because I wanted to see what I can do with just 2 copies. I also have here my projectile weapon officer Dex for stacking crit chance on firing projectiles. I also have my other projectile weapon officer Zet for stacking crit severity. Also along for the ride is my Space Warfare Specialist Dillarine for increased damage to Borg, because hey, why not? Also along is 2447, my security officer. This is on activation of attack abilities, 15% chance, set power levels to maximum for 5 seconds. But that's what we're using it for. Because I'm not using anything from Miracle Worker on this. Well, if I was, that's what I'd be using. This is primarily what I'm using it for, to keep my power levels as high as possible during the run. And of course, the Adaku-Kan is threat gen with attack pattern delta. Alright, so let's take a look at this thing. It's a ugly sucker, isn't it? But hey, what can I say? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? And there's a reason I call this thing the Buff. You can take two meanings from that. One I like to use personally is Big Ugly Flying Fortress, because that's what this thing is. It's a rock-solid flying fortress. Or you can go the more traditional route, Big Ugly Fat Fuck, because that's what this thing is. It's a big ugly fat fuck. Alright, so that being said, one final thought before we jump into that ISE. As I said earlier, this ship does not have access to cruiser commands. So that means I'm having to rely on my skills, my positioning, and knowing where I need to be to get as much threat as possible. So basically all I'm using is threatening stance and attack pattern delta, as well as the Baul anti-proton beams at fire at will. Not to mention this right here, which is Ion Storm Generator off the Baran. This also helps with threat. When threatening stance is enabled, you gain plus 500% threat gen while this lasts. Yeah, that's a lot of extra threat. So yeah, I'm relying on this, my skills, the Baul anti-proton beams, and fire at will, as well as threatening stance and some personal space traits to help me get threat generation. So let's go ahead and jump into the ISE. You can see the ship perform. We'll take a look at the parse. Then you can answer the question for yourself, can this ship tank? So let's get into the ISE, and I'll catch you on the flip side. All right, let's take a look at this parse. That was a hell of an ISE run. I am, of course, at James Bryce. Also tagging along on this run was my good friend Stargate Wars, who does some really interesting things with science. My very good friend Mikey213, who is Mad Dog Mikey Games. I gave him a shout out earlier. I'm going to give it again. Go check him out on YouTube, Mad Dog Mikey Games. Give him a follow, smash that subscribe button like it owes you money, and ring the bell. That way you know when he drops another one of his awesome videos. Also along for the run was Stu1701. This is Top Hat Stu. Everybody knows him. Another great content creator and friend of mine. Give him a follow as well. Same deal. Give him a follow, smash that subscribe button like it owes you money, and ring the bell. Or else he's going to break out the bird mask and come after you. Don't make him break out the bird mask. He will. And last but not least is our good friend Ziltoid, tagging along for some fun. So, let's look at the parse. Total damage in, 89%. Total attacks in, just a hair under 92%. So yeah, Liberated Borg Juggernaut can tank with the best of them. It is a beast of a tank. Just by these numbers here. So let's go ahead and take a deeper dive into this. Okay. Total damage in, well, almost 3 million. That's extremely good for tank. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Max one hit. 218. Let's see what that was. Oh, pets. And we'll go take a look at that here in a moment. Ball anti-proton beam, fire at will. This did a pretty good amount of damage. This did 44k DPS. Ball anti-fire at will 1. This is from my ETM going off. This is just standalone. Mycelial lightning from the... pardon, excuse me there. Mycelial lightning from the Disco 3-piece. Bowel refraction. This is from the Lobi 2-piece set. Again, Bowel anti-dual beam bank going off. So yeah, this ship can really dish it out. So let's go ahead and take a look at pets. That's another thing I didn't mention during the build portion. This ship doesn't have any hangers. So that means I can't run my Terran Doomba pets. Or the new Alliance fighters. I couldn't run those to help me out getting aggro. Like I said, I had to rely on my skill, my consoles, and my positioning. And there it is. Max one hit from the Plasma Disintegrator. I said, that thing really hits hard. I was very surprised with that. How well that performed. Alright, so basically, yeah. Here's the Disruptive Topological Matrix console. It didn't hit very hard, but it did its job with debuffing. That's what it did. So yeah, overall impression, the Liberated Borg Juggernaut. Answer to the question, can it tank? Yes. If you have one and you want to try building a tank on it, I recommend it. It isn't, as you saw, it is an excellent tank. And yes, it does. It definitely can hang with the best of them. It can hang with the sticks. It can hang with my Tiger Core. Yeah, I like this ship. It's goofy looking. It's ugly. Perfect pirate ship, right? So, with that being said, final thoughts. this ship surprised me in a couple of different ways. It was very maneuverable, I thought. And for a Juggernaut, it stops on a dime. You saw that in the thing. I stopped, boom, I stopped. I didn't slide. I have no inertia problems. This ship stops on a dime. That's unusual for a Juggernaut. That surprised the hell out of me. Sure, like, there are other better tanks with better setups out there. But hey, why not try an off-brand tank like this one? It's the only way you're really going to know what can and what can't tank in this game. And this is the first in a series of videos asking the question, can it tank? Next up will be the Breen Resreth Dreadnought Cruiser. That was an event reward from the winter event some time ago. It's affectionately known as the Space Lobster. That is the next ship that we are going to ask the question, can it tank? So stay tuned for that one. And as always, if you like this or any of my other videos, hit the like button, smash that subscribe button like it owes you money, and ring the bell. That way you guys get notified when I drop more of my great content. And it also helps the channel with the YouTube algorithm promote my stuff. So that being said, as we always say around here, don't go by the book, think like a pirate. And I'll catch you next time.
Like all Starfleet, you talk and you talk, but you have no gramba.